Okay, we're going to move on and start making the centre portion, the bit with the point on it. So a bit of shaft here, it's just a piece of scrap I had laying around. It's got to be 109 according to the plan long. It's got to have a 5/16 18 thread in one end and an offset point on the other and a slot, so an anti-rotational slot. You can put a little locky bit in. So just going to get this down really close and then probably use emery to go the last little bit. Okay, I'm going to try something different now. This is a tool that was sent to me by Jim from Tangent Engineering. I'm going to give it a crack and see. Be a good trial to see what sort of finish I can get from this burnishing tool. No doubt that tool does leave a beautiful finish. If you're interested in one of these burnishing tools, you can go through Tangent Jim on YouTube. I'll put his email address in the description. This was one of the very first trial ones I believe he made. The later ones have, I believe, have got a black oxide coating. They got a centre in the dowel here, so you can pick up on centre line. This was just the one of the very first that he built, I believe. So I do apologise, Jim, that I haven't got to this tool earlier. Hopefully you can read that there or not. So 19.096, 19.095, 19.093. So 0.003 difference from end to end. Which I'm not worried about. It fits. It's tight. Very tight. There may be a little burr from one of these holes that I drilled in there still too. I'm going to run the burnishing tool down there again, and that should nearly be spot on. That's it. I certainly don't want it sloppy in there. So it's got to have a chamfer on this edge and a 5/16 18 thread up its dot for 40mm. It's got a hardened carbide ball, or got hard carbide ball in there, and I think it's an oil light bushing in there as well. Like I say, this is one of Jim's very first ones he sent me. And like I say, I do apologise, Jim, it's been a while getting to this, but it's a really, really good tool. Okay, I'll set up and drill and tap the end of that. Okay, I'm trying out a different camera angle here. I've got the tailstock DRO on, or the quill DRO. So this has got to go in 40mm. This is a letter F drill. That's handy having that thing, that quill arrow. That's bloody brilliant. You would have seen in a previous video I made the adapters to run the taps in the die holder, one with the clutch on it. Lucky enough I had a 5/16 18 tap that fits the 8mm one. The other ones I got which are spiral flute, there's about 0.05mm difference in the shank size which don't fit in the holder. So I'll run down with this one, and then to finish it off, because it's just like it's a taper tap, this one, I'll just finish it off by hand. I'll give that a blowout and then I'll finish it off with a just by hand with a spiral tap. Okay, I just ran a tap up that quickly, so that's finished now. So I have to put a slot up the side here for the locking, like for a locking screw that stops this from rotating. Okay, swap that out for a 4mm cutter. This slot has to be 4.9mm wide, 88mm long, and around 4mm deep. Okay, we'll give this a go. 2mm depth of cut. Off camera this morning I made up the little, if you want to call it, adjuster. It sits in this hole, in this slot, just made out of a 5/16 bolt. Slit the saw, put a screwdriver slot in the end of it. That's 4.8 the end of that, so that's 4mm. So I take out another 0.8, so yeah, 0.4 a side or a fraction over. That's a cutter that was sent in by a mate that he got off AliExpress. That cuts absolutely perfect. And that's a good fit. Okay, confession time. I made a mistake. The adjuster, well, that little thing I made this morning off camera, just fit in this slot. It's meant to be on this side. So that drilled and tapped 5/16 fine thread should have only been on this side, not a clearance hole. So obviously it's gone in the opposite side now, which it doesn't matter. Just that I'm going to have to make up a plug, say a brass plug or something, and stick in there to get rid of that hole. So I did make a bit of a mistake. I misread the plans. So now I've got to set this up in the 4-jaw and use that as a reference, that slot, to offset the point. Okay, I apologise I didn't show any of this set up to do this, because I've never offset anything to do like this before. Got it offset 2mm or 2.25mm. I have it offset. So indexed to this slot. So now what I got to do is twist the compound around to the right angle and then put the point on. Okay, I actually took a bit of time and offset that a little bit more, because I reckon I stuffed it up and I didn't have it offset enough. So yeah, I've done that off camera. So I'm just going to bring it to a point. It's not exact, I don't think it's going to be exactly right to the plan, but we're going to have an offset point, which is all that matters, and it's 90 degrees to this slot. In the plan, it shows another bit of a relief back here. I'll go to the picture and show you. So in the plan, it shows a bit more of a relief back here as well. It's not going to hurt to put that in. Okay, we're going to leave it right like that. There's our pointy bit. It'll do the job. Okay, now I can move on. Well, that's the point is finished now. Now I can move on to making the adjuster section. There's an adjuster, there's a knob, and there's a retainer that mounts into here with these 2.5mm threaded holes. Okay, so what I built then is the retainer that goes in the back here. It gets, there's two 5mm set screws that go in each hole, and they go into that scalloped out groove to retain that, which has the shaft with the thread and holds the knob on the back. Okay, so what I'm making here now, which I've saved you the boring part of sort of roughing it down, this will have a 5/16 thread on there, which will go up the end of this pointy bit. On the other end of it, it will have an 8mm shaft, which the knob will go on and slip through that retainer that we just built. Just to take a little bit more off here and then single point thread the 5/16 thread on there. I've got to reduce this section here down to 16mm. I can set up to single point that now. Rightio, that thread is complete. So I can pull it out of the chuck now, cut it off the length, and then hold it in a collet on the thread. Get rid of this. Hold it in a collet on the thread and then turn down the back end of it to 8mm. I'll part this off camera, don't know how to part it off, and then I'll bring this back when it's all set up in a collet. Okay, we've got that to a nice slip fit. That's going to do that part. It does need a cross hole drilling into it. Probably won't do that just yet though. That's what the part looks like. And that goes on that end. And that goes inside that body. Then I just got to make the knob. The knob is the final part to be made. Okay, I'm quickly going to make up the knob, knurled knob for the end of this job. Just pretty basic this is. Right, yeah, this poor old knurling tool is going to have another crack at making a decent knurl. I'll give that a clean up and see what it looks like. Look, I wouldn't say it's the prettiest knurl, but it's on there. I'll drill and ram an 8mm hole in that and then we can part her off, and I'll spin it around and hold it gently and face it, the end of it back off again. So we got the corresponding piece. Nice. So now I'll put a parting blade in and then rip it off. That parted off not too bad. And that'll do it. So according to the plans, that's the way it's meant to look. It does say in the plans to drill a through hole right through both parts after it's all assembled and put a pin in it. I'm going to drill and tap for an M5 and put a set screw or 2 set screws in it, and then just dimple the shaft where it locks on. It got the better of me. I put a little brass plug in the end. I'm just going to stick it back in the lathe and just sort of polish it up a little bit. That looks a bit better. There we go. Okay, so I've just done a quick assembly and I didn't even bother dimpling the shaft. I just put a set screw in and it seems okay. So I'm just going to leave it like that and see what it does. I put 2 M5s in the 2 threaded holes that hold that little collar in there. But I put that little radius groove in. So I think we're on a win. So what I have to do now, the bottom plate, I have to put the 2 scallops in to take the mounting bolts when you bolt it to the mill, and also machine 2 grooves for these 2 side plates to drop into. Then they'll be welded in. I'm not too sure if you can pick up these blue Sharpie marks. I've just drawn it out where I've got to put these pockets in, just as a visual, so I know I'm not going to screw it up. Obviously it's not going to fit because I've got to take the corners out, but width wise, perfect. Okay, I've got to do the same on this side now. Once I get this side done, then I'll come in and I'll just drop down in each corner, just to open up the corners, so this will take the square edges. And it fits. That's awesome. That fits really, really good. Okay, what I've got to do now is put the two, if you want to call it, cutouts for the when you bolt it down to the mill table. They've got to be about 16mm wide. Fit them in there. Rightio, I have got a 16mm annular cutter, and I've worked out the offset, so I've got a full nut engagement. So I'm going to punch that through on both ends, and then come in with that other end mill I had there a minute ago, and just take the front of it out. That's that. Swap over to the 8mm cutter again and knock these ends out of it. Okay, I got a bit of a filing job to do there just to blend it in. That last little bit, it'll be right. You can see what I'm doing there. I'll slip over this side and do this one off camera. And then we're about ready to weld it all up. Okay, here's the setup I've got. I have gone around and ascertained where we're going to weld to get all the oil and crap off it. So I've clamped it down to this angle plate, if you want to call it, tilting plate, whatever I called it back when I made it. Been around and checked it for squareness. It is all square in both ways, and clamped down from the top. So clamped at the bottom too. The idea of putting it into this is I can angle it over, which makes it a bit easier for me to weld it. And then I can angle it up the other way to weld the top side as well, because I haven't had a lot of experience with the TIG. Like my young bloke's a boiler maker in his last couple of months of being qualified, so I really should get him to weld it up, but I've got to learn myself, and the only way to learn is to get practice, I suppose. The only thing I am a bit dubious on, do I get a piece of paper and put down between these two before I weld? Another thing is I haven't got any setups for doing welding shots or anything, so I don't even know if I can ever film it, to be honest, whether it's going to turn out any good. One of my biggest troubles is when I'm welding I shake like a shitting dog. Always been the same. turning out crap. So we'll keep going. I'm going to weld this one up off camera. I'm just going to dust this off. It has warped a fraction. Now it's cooled down. So that was 0.1 mil depth of cut, and that's cleaned up. So it didn't warp a lot, but when you sat it on the table, you could feel it pivoting right in the middle. So it did kick it a bit. I'm not worried about the surface finish. It's not shiny because it's going to get scratched up sitting on the table anyway. Just got to deburr that again, and then that's it. Okay, I have to go and buy some M14 short bolts to fit in there and in the back here. This here is not too bad, so I can use them. They're the ones I use on the vise. But as you can see, the centre heights are spot on and it looks the part. I'm pretty impressed with that. This is raised up a fraction, so there is adjustment to go down as well if need be. This is set on 0 degrees, so it should be running straight. But yeah, I'm happy with that. Need to run the wire wheel just around these just to clean it up. Tossing up whether I paint it, probably not because nothing else is painted on that unit. Just hit it with some squirt just to stop it flash rusting. For a homemade footstock, if you want to call it that, or a tailstock, whichever way you want to call it, it's going to do the job. I'm just a bit annoyed about these welds aren't as neat as they should be. But like I say, I'm only learning the TIG. The side there's a bit better. The young fella come in and wicked over the ends for me quickly. Should have got him to do the whole lot. And I've just got to make up that little spacer and then she's done. Okay, I just quickly made up a spacer out of brass. Hunted around till I found a bit of brass. I didn't have enough to make up a bung to fit in that hole where I made the mistake, which doesn't really matter, but you lock it up and oh shit, they're not real tight. Anyway, that locks up good and tight. Oh, certainly does lock up tight. I need to nip these up again. Put it on centre height and nip them up. I thought I had them nipped up, but obviously I haven't. Well, that's another tool to the collection. And a massive thanks to John for drawing up the plans for me too. Very much appreciated, mate. I've sent you an email as well. So, pretty happy with how it all come out, bar a couple of mistakes. This one here was one of them. And another one I did, the slot in the side here is about 8mm too long. So I misread the plan again, that was my mistake. But apart from that, it's going to function, it's going to do the job. And I was surprised, I only got 0.1 of a mil after I welded it to flatten that back out again. overall, pretty happy. So I just got to find a project to use it on now. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and see you on the next one. Hooroo.